Welcome, listeners, but take heed. We will say whatever we need
to share our knowledge, thoughts, and joy, and even things that do annoy.
Before we begin, please be aware, we have a tendency to swear.
You have been warned, make no mistake, so join us now.
We're for Fawkes' sake. Welcome to For Fawkes' Sake, a Harry Potter book movie compare and contrast podcast. I'm Ellen, and today we are joined by a special guest co-host and one of our very first Sorting Hat stories, my friend and fellow Harry Potter lover, Abigail.
Hey everybody, I was the very first Sorting Hat story.
Were you the very
number
first?
One, yes, first podcast
I
episode.
knew it was up there. I just wasn't quite sure.
Yeah.
So apparently Karlee and I jinxed ourselves the last time we recorded because we were talking about how it seemed like everything was settling down and maybe we'll finally be able to catch back up on things and get back on track with the episodes. But no, because now Karlee has some kind of stomach bug ravaging her household. Please send her positive vibes. She needs it. And yeah, we didn't want to fall behind. So Abigail's here visiting me. I was like, hey, you want to record some episodes?
Yeah, I was like, sure, why not? I'm here. We might as well do it. Yeah, I'm Abigail, guys. I'm Ellen's lifelong, or at least adult lifelong bestie.
Yeah, we have matching tattoos, 2 of them.
Yes, avogatos. And
a Claudia quote.
Yes, a Claudia quote.
We're holding out our arms like you can see them.
Yeah, just in case you can, and we're not aware of it.
That's creepy.
Yeah, I work in HR, and usually when I'm doing podcasts, it's about business or HR stuff. So I'm excited to be talking about some of my favorite fiction.
You know, it's funny that Abigail and I have known each other since early 20s, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Mid-20s, maybe?
No, early.
But we never really realized we both loved Harry Potter. It was one of those things that back then we were like secret lovers of it.
Yeah, as adults, it's like, I probably shouldn't tell people
I shouldn't
this.
tell people how much I love Harry Potter. Yeah. And then I started doing this podcast, and it was like, oh, wait, you love Harry Potter? We actually just went to Harry Potter World together last summer, too.
That's right, to celebrate a very important birthday milestone.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, y'all know I'm 40, so
yeah.
We're all 40.
Yes, we celebrated our 40ths. Ellen, myself, our husbands. I'm 41 now.
I'm very close to that.
But yes, it is fun being in my 40s and being allowed to, tell people that I love Harry Potter.
I am very unashamed to be like, I have a Harry Potter podcast. So, as you all know, but you're all here too, so you get it, which is great. Anyway, it'll be me and Abigail for this episode and the next episode. And Karlee's going to be with us in spirit. We got some pre-recorded stuff that she always gets to be part of. But let's just fly into the Phoenix flashback and get this episode going. Last week, we covered the second half of Chapter 14, Felix Felicis, and the corresponding film scenes. We were met with a forever grumpy Ron, who performs miserably in their last Quidditch practice before their match against Slytherin. Harry knows Ron can do it if he's on form, so he gives him a nudge in the right direction. Hermione thinks she sees Harry put liquid luck into Ron's morning juice just before the match. The game is a complete success, and everything, and I do mean everything, is coming up Gryffindor. Much to Hermione's surprise, Harry didn't actually slip liquid luck to Ron, he only pretended to. The movie gives us an expedited version of this, but we get some definite dings indeed. The ding that hurts the most is seeing Hermione upset that Ron and Lavender are together. During episode 221, Definite Dings, our Potter pondering was, do you agree with Hermione that Harry shouldn't have put liquid luck, or pretended to, in Ron's drink?
Hi guys, it's Max here. I agree with Hermione. Harry should not have put anything into Ron's drink because you shouldn't dose someone, and you especially shouldn't dose someone if they don't know you're doing it. He shouldn't have pretended to put something in Ron's drink and make Hermione think that he was dosing him. But I think the real fault lies with Hermione, who really should have said something either to Ron or to someone else when she thought Harry had dosed Ron.
Hey, this is Jessica calling in my Potter Pondering for this week. And absolutely no, I do not agree with Hermione that Harry should not have pretended to put liquid luck in Ron's drink. I've touched on it before, but Hermione is incredibly hypocritical when it comes to other people breaking the rules. Considering that she really did use the Confundus charm on McLaggen, and Harry didn't actually use liquid luck on Ron, she's just so way up on her high horse there, isn't she? No, I love Hermione, but she really just needs to calm down a little bit. Because Harry was truly a genius for thinking of that in that moment and finding something to get Ron out of his own way. Because he's really good at the game when he's not so freaking nervous. And that was proven here. Now he knows it. He didn't actually cheat or anything, unlike Hermione. So, yeah, no, I absolutely don't agree with Hermione at all whatsoever. She needs to climb down from her pedestal every once in a while.
Good afternoon, FSS Pod. This is Jeremy Levy calling in with my Harry Potter did what he did. I know he wanted to win the match, and I know he wanted to give Ron some confidence, but it was not quite right for him to use the potion, the luck potion. I'm not sure, but that's what I think. Thanks. Bye.
Mary Lou said, I think that Harry has some better insight on Ron. They lived in the same room, and Harry probably knows more about his insecurities and struggles. Hermione is more worried about breaking the rules. Mike says, Potter Pondering by Mike R., still reigning trivia champion, shared, for was Hermione right to be pissy about Harry not dosing Ron's drink? Paraphrased. In case it wasn't clear, I do not think Hermione was right to get grumpy about Harry not dosing Ron's drink. I do agree that it would have been wrong to actually dose Ron's drink with liquid luck, super against the rules as indicated by Slughorn at least. But, as Harry did not actually dose Ron, I would say that is the important distinction. Sporting events are all about psyching out your opponents and pumping up your team. Most people, I'd say, would agree that sporting events can be hugely influenced by players' frame of mind, especially goalies or keepers. I would argue that was all Harry was doing, albeit in a very quirky and clever way. And with Ron, his biggest weakness was always his confidence. So Harry is being very smart in his tactics and was clearly very effective. I would argue that Hermione was mostly PO'd because A, she was pissed that Harry would cheat, and when she found out that he hadn't, she didn't feel like she could come back down without losing face, and B, she was angry that she had also been fooled by Harry's sleight of hand poor, not poor, and she can't stand being wrong or not knowing everything immediately. It probably also didn't help that the rules don't actually support her position, which always seems to bug her, betrayed by books and all that. To summarize, Harry was not in the wrong and was even acting in the spirit of normal competition, and Hermione was grumpy because she got tricked and doesn't really appreciate sports ball culture. Sorry for the long entry, been a while since I've done a good Potter Pondering rant.
Thank you so much for your responses.
Our trivia question last week was, what is the new Gryffindor password for the holiday season?
The new festive password is Baubles.
Congratulations goes to Jessica Wallace.
Yay! Good job!
She cut off Callista's streak. I would wonder if she's going to get it this week and start up a streak, but I'm well aware that the second half of Bridgerton comes out tonight, so I'm assuming she's going to be very distracted, and it is anyone's to win. Who's it going to be?
You never know. For now, let's dive into the first half of Chapter 15, the Unbreakable Vow and the corresponding film scenes.
Chapter 15, the Unbreakable Vow, Part 1. It turns snowy as Christmas fast approaches. There are 12 Christmas trees set up in the Great Hall, delivered by Hagrid. There are also holly and tinsel garlands, everlasting candles, and bunches of mistletoe, which large groups of girls tend to hang out under whenever Harry goes by. Thanks to all of his nighttime wanderings, Harry has a good knowledge of the castle's secret passageways and can usually find mistletoe-free paths to and from class. There was a time when these detours would have annoyed Ron, but instead, post-Lavender, he finds it hilarious. Harry does prefer this laughing Ron to the moody, aggressive one he had been being, but it does come at a cost. For one, Lavender Brown is frequently around, and for another, Harry is again the best friend of two people who seem unlikely to speak to each other. Harry doesn't think Hermione can complain since she snogged Crumb, and insists that he hasn't done anything wrong since he never promised Hermione anything. Hermione says Ron's allowed to kiss whoever he likes, and she doesn't care, but she dots an I on her parchment so hard she pokes a hole in it. With both, Harry never responds and ends up spending so much time not saying anything, he thinks his voice may vanish from lack of use. He continues to pore over his potions book until Hermione tells him he needs to be careful. Thinking she's warning him about the Half-Blood Prince's book, he hoarsely insists he's not giving it back since he's learned more from the book than Snape or Slughorn. She cuts him off to tell him she doesn't mean his stupid so-called prince, rather that she overheard some girls in the bathroom talking about slipping him a love potion, hoping he will take one of them to Slughorn's Christmas party. They all seem to have bought Fred and George's love potions, which she figures will work. Harry wonders why she didn't confiscate them, and she informs him they didn't have them in the bathroom, they were just discussing tactics. She tells him that she doubts if the Half-Blood Prince could even help him with a dozen love potions at once, and suggests he just ask someone so the other girls stop thinking they will have a chance. Harry tries not to think of Ginny and mumbles that there isn't anyone he wants to invite. Hermione tells him to be careful what he drinks because Romilda Vane looks like she means business. Harry starts to wonder how the girls are getting the love potions in since Filch banned the Weasley's Wizard Wheezes products and all the owls are being searched. Hermione explains that they are being disguised as perfumes and cough potions as part of their owl order service. Harry wonders how she knows so much about it, and she coldly tells him that it was on the back of the bottles they showed her and Ginny that summer. Also adding on that she doesn't go around putting potions in people's drinks, or pretending to, which is just as bad. Harry brushes that aside and points out that Filch is being fooled, so why couldn't Malfoy have gotten something past him? Hermione isn't pleased Harry is on this subject again, and tries to explain why it would be much easier to conceal a love potion than a dark object, especially since it would just fall to Filch to realize the potion wasn't a cough potion, and he probably can't tell potions apart since he's not a really good wizard. She stops talking when Madame Pince appears and tells them to leave since the library's closed. She starts to tell them to put everything back in the correct place, but gets distracted when she sees the writing all over Harry's book and begins yelling at him about it being despoiled. Hermione hastily packs up her things and drags Harry away, worrying he'll be banned from the library and wondering why he brought that stupid book. He says it isn't his fault she's barking mad and jokes that she heard her being rude about Filch and he's always thought there might be something between them. They make their way back to the common room, arguing about whether or not Filch and Madame Pince are secretly in love, until they make it to the fat lady. Harry gives her the festive new password, Baubles, and is immediately greeted by Romilda Vane offering him a gilly water the moment the portrait hole opens. Hermione gives him a look and Harry turns it down, saying he doesn't like it much. Romilda then thrusts a box of chocolate cauldrons filled with fire whiskey into his hands, and he awkwardly takes them and thanks her before hurrying after Hermione. Once out of earshot, Hermione says she told him, but her face goes blank when she spots Ron and Lavender entwined in an armchair. She bids Harry good night even though it's only 7 p.m. Harry goes to bed comforting himself with the thought of only one more day's worth of lessons, Slughorn's party, and then he and Ron will depart for the Burrow. He's hoping that the time apart will give both Ron and Hermione time to think and cool down, but these hopes are lowered during Transfiguration the next day. They're supposed to be changing the color of their eyebrows, and Ron accidentally gives himself a handlebar mustache. When Hermione laughs unkindly at it, Ron does a cruel but accurate impression of Hermione jumping up and down to answer a question. This makes Hermione nearly cry, and she races right out when the bell rings, leaving half of her stuff behind. Harry decides she needs him more than Ron and scoops up her belongings to follow her. He finds her with Luna, who greets Harry and asks if he knows one of his eyebrows is yellow. He just says hi back and gives Hermione her things. She thanks him and hurries away again, leaving Harry with Luna, who tells him Hermione is a bit upset about Ron Weasley. Harry says they've had a row, and Luna accurately says Ron can be funny, but also a bit unkind. Harry vaguely agrees and asks how Luna's term has been. She responds that it's been all right, a bit lonely without the DA, but Ginny has been nice. Before Harry can stop himself, he invites Luna to Slughorn's party. She's surprised, and he clarifies that he means just as friends, already half hoping she says no. Luna says she would love to go with him as friends, and wonders if that's why he dyed his eyebrows and if she should too. Harry firmly says no and calls it a mistake. He adds that he'll have Hermione fix it and asks Luna to meet him in the entrance hall at 8 p.m. They're interrupted by Peeves, who begins cackling that Harry asked Luna Lovegood to the party and then zooms off shrieking, "Potty lerves loony." In no time, the whole school knows Harry Potter is taking Luna Lovegood to Slughorn's party. Ron is shocked he chose Loony Lovegood because he could have taken anyone. Ginny snaps at him not to call her that, then tells Harry she's glad he's taking her because she's so excited. As she goes to sit with Dean, Harry tries and fails to feel pleased that Ginny's glad he's taking Luna. Down the table, Hermione is sitting by herself, and Harry notices Ron looking at her. He bluntly suggests that Ron say he's sorry, but Ron is worried he'll get attacked by another flock of canaries. Harry asks why he had to imitate her, and he complains about her laughing at his mustache. Harry says he did too because it was the stupidest thing he'd ever seen. Ron doesn't respond as Lavender arrives and squeezes between the two of them to fling her arms around his neck. Parvati, like Harry, looks a little embarrassed by their friend's behavior, says hi to him, and they talk about her staying at Hogwarts, until she notices Hermione and brightly says hi to her. Harry can tell she feels guilty for laughing at her during Transfiguration, but is also surprised to see Hermione smiling back even more brightly as she asks Parvati if she's going to Slughorn's party. Parvati glumly says she didn't get an invite and asks if she is going. Hermione casually mentions that she's meeting Cormac at 8, and they're going to the party together. This news causes Ron and Lavender to break apart, and Parvati asks if she means Cormac McLaggen. Hermione confirms this, mentioning how he almost became the Gryffindor keeper. When Parvati wants to know if she's going out with him, Hermione gives a very un-Hermione-ish giggle and says yes. When Parvati makes a comment about her liking Quidditch players, Hermione responds that she likes really good Quidditch players, before saying she needs to go get ready for the party, and leaves.
The movie section starts on a snowy outdoor shot, panning over the castle, showing through the window views of Lavender kissing Ron, Malfoy alone, solemnly staring over the grounds, and an exterior shot of the castle as the dawn breaks. It then shifts into a busy Christmas-decorated corridor scene, as Harry and Ron walk amongst the chattering students, and the latter insists that he can't help it if she's got her knickers in a twist. He says that what he and Lav have is chemical. He isn't sure it will last, but the point is he is a free agent. The scene then cuts to Harry and Hermione in the library, as Hermione is insisting that Ron is at perfect liberty to kiss whomever he likes, and she couldn't care less. She also says that she was under the impression that they were going to attend Slughorn's party together, but given the circumstances, she's had to make other arrangements. Harry questions this because he was thinking they could go together, since neither of them can go with who they would like to. Hermione is distraught that she didn't think of that, and Harry asks her who she is going with. She hedges responding by calling it a surprise and informs Harry that it is him they have to worry about. She points out Romilda Vane and warns him that she is trying to smuggle a love potion in. Harry is surprised and looks toward the girl until Hermione snaps her fingers and reminds him that she's only interested in him because she thinks he is the chosen one. Harry grins and says he is the chosen one, and Hermione smacks him on the head with her papers. He cringes and apologizes, saying he is kidding, then decides he will ask someone he likes, someone cool. The scene cuts again to show Luna Lovegood standing in the corridor wearing a frilly, shiny silver dress. Harry walks up behind her from around the corner, wearing dress robes, and when he steps beside her, the two exchange a look and begin walking up the corridor together. As they walk under dozens of orange lanterns hanging from the ceiling, Luna mentions that she's never been to this part of the castle, at least not while she is awake. She explains that she sleepwalks, and that is why she wears shoes to bed. As they continue walking and exit the screen, the camera focuses on Draco Malfoy, who is sitting by himself off to the side. Once clear, he walks down a corridor and stops, focusing on something in front of him. The camera zooms in on his face as he closes his eyes. It cuts to inside the room of requirement, where Draco pulls a very dusty cover off of the ornate black cabinet he has previously been interacting with. He opens the door and sets an apple inside before closing the door again. He closes his eyes and begins to whisper an incantation. Harmonia Nectare Passus. When he opens the door again, the apple has vanished. Draco looks reasonably pleased and hopeful as he closes the door again. He repeats the incantation a couple more times as the music intensifies and then opens the door again. He reaches in and picks the apple back up, but now there is a bite taken out of it.
So I feel like this half of the book chapter and this part of the movie do line up really well. And there's a lot of things that correspond very accurately. As Karlee called it one week, it was Lemon Water was an episode title because it was like just the squeeze of the lemon. This one's a little bit closer to lemonade, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
It's still not 100%. So many details get left out. There are some obvious changes, but even the changes that were added in or the things that were left out, like it all kind of makes sense. There are some things that I really wish that we had gotten, though. The book chapter picks up talking about how it's getting closer to Christmas. The weather outside is snowy, which makes sense, being Christmas, but they're really just like setting that scene and illustrating the fact that we are getting closer to Slughorn's party, which is kind of the focus of everything that's going on, the drama that's been occurring and whatnot.
All the things that teenagers worry about.
Absolutely.
Yeah. While trying to navigate school. Even wizards have the same problem.
Yes. I feel like that same scene was set with the little transition scene right at the beginning of the movie section because it's outside, it's snowy, it's just nighttime panning over the castle.
Yeah. And it definitely gives us the impression, oh, the party's upon us.
Yeah. What we don't get anywhere near as well is in the book, they make mention of all of these girls, like groups of girls, an absolute giggle of girls.
Yes, the Harry Potter fan club.
Yes, just either following Harry around or just knowing what his next class is going to be so they can position themselves under mistletoe where he has to walk past. And I think this would have been really fun to see.
Yeah. 100% would have been fun to see him navigating the hallways, not even being aware of, totally oblivious to the fact that these girls are trying to get like steal kisses from him under the mistletoe.
And I think that he wouldn't have been completely oblivious, but he would have definitely been trying to pretend he was.
Yeah, I would rather just see him be completely oblivious
He
at
is
first.
pretty oblivious, but we do know from the book that he's really like, oh my god, this is getting so annoying. And he uses all of his meddling. He's got quite that meddling bone, so he has learned quite a lot about the castle from that. He knows where all of the secret passages are, thanks to Fred and George and the Marauders map.
Yep.
So he can find new ways to get to his classes and avoid, at the very least, the mistletoe.
Right. Yes.
Not necessarily the girls, because they are all over the place, but he can at least avoid the mistletoe. And they also make note of the fact that there was a time when this would have made Ron super jealous because Harry's getting all this attention and he never gets any, but his confidence level has shot up with his attention from Lavender. So now he just roars with laughter every single time Harry has to try to avoid the girls under the mistletoe. And this is nice, especially when you compare it to how shitty Ron had been being leading up to his makeout sessions with Lav. But it comes at the cost of Harry now being the go-between his two best friends that seem like they're once again never going to speak to one another. And that would definitely be annoying. I love how the book describes it as him just, you know, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. And he just sits there and says absolutely nothing and actually thinks he's going to lose his voice. And even mentions that when he does get to speak, it's hoarsely. I love that he mostly just sits there and keeps his mouth shut as Ron is insisting that he didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
He's just like, I never promised Hermione anything, and she's kissed Crumb, so who cares?
We're even. We're just even.
Right. I'm really kind of bummed that Karlee isn't here to do this episode because I know that she has some serious thoughts about how Ron is acting here. He is being an absolute butt. Like,
yep, asshole.
Ronald
he is
Weasley,
being an asshole.
You agreed to go to this party with Hermione. Yep. And then you started dating somebody.
Right.
Like, you kind of did something wrong.
You did.
Not kind of.
Yeah.
This was shitty.
Yeah, you
this was shitty. And I do understand where he's coming from. There's a lot of insecurity there that finding out Hermione had snogged Victor Crumb just poked him right in that insecurity. Because he knows on some level that he likes Hermione. Mm-hmm. He's just too young and dumb to be able to communicate that properly. So he's still in the stage where he acts like an idiot instead of talking about his feelings.
Right. He does it through meanness. It's that elementary.
Boys tease you because they like
you.
you.
He's chasing you and slugging you because he likes you. He's using mean words because he likes you. I will say this much. The author did capture the type of culture I grew up in, and I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Well, I think it's because she was writing it then.
That's probably true.
Yeah, I think that's just what the culture was.
Yes.
Because I do hate that boys tease you because they like you. And I do think that there is some accuracy to it, but I don't think we should be normalizing that. We should be teaching these boys how to properly communicate their feelings because that's healthy. That's a good thing. And as we always like to say, there should absolutely be mental health care in the Wizarding world because there's not.
Right. There should be.
There should be.
I will say, as the mother of an 8-year-old who's been asked properly out on a date and who's also had another classmate just kiss her on the head without permission, I feel a lot more secure about where this generation is going. Like they're really starting to mostly understand the whole concept of consent and politely asking somebody to hang out with you. Good job, parents. Good job.
Yeah, keep it up, please. We need that. The author, actually, I mentioned this before, she really does have a tendency to keep things even. Like you were saying, like we're even now. That's just something that she does. I don't know if that's her own personal view or if that's just what she really likes for her writings. But in other books that she's written, she's done that exact same thing where
quid pro quo,
yeah,
tit for tat.
She really needs it to seem more equal, more balanced before a couple can be successful together, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing because you should have an equal for a partner.
It's at
least the balance.
Yeah, no, with couples, it's a partnership because you're leveraging each other's strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah. However, the way that she wrote this particular way of balancing things out, like Ron was a dick.
Yeah. I mean, Hermione wasn't being a dick when she went out with Victor Crumb.
No.
She was asked. She accepted.
Yeah.
You hadn't asked her to do anything or go anywhere.
As she said in that book, too. You know the solution. The next time there's a dance, ask me before somebody else and not as a last resort.
Correct.
And Ron did not yet learn that lesson. He's getting there, I think. He's getting there. But if Harry is oblivious, Ron is doubly so.
Yes.
Total idiot.
100%.
And I think Hermione's higher skills at sensitivity definitely help balance him out in the long run.
She has a lot of emotional intelligence and maturity.
And Ron does not. great.
Nope.
As how he handles this is evident. But then you have the flip side where Hermione is telling Harry that Ron can kiss whoever he wants. I don't care. But she then dots her parchment so hard, the eye on her parchment so hard that she pokes a hole through it. So yeah, sure. You totally don't care, Hermione.
Right. And I do love how the movie includes this conversation, even though it looks slightly different. Like they're putting books away.
Yeah.
And she's just got an attitude the whole time. And poor Harry's following her around and just like the look on his face says, please stop talking to me about this.
Yeah, he's definitely doing the, I don't have a response to this. I'm not going to say anything. It's just a slightly different setup. I love how they did this. It was just like, it almost streamlined it, but it also was sort of streamlined in the book because you just got the gist of what was going on. And I love that Ron is super cocky and almost more so than he was in the book, but it worked for this because it also encompassed the attitude that he has about thinking it's hilarious that Harry's having to dodge all over these girls trying to kiss him, even if they didn't show us that in the movie, which I really wish they had.
I do too. You know, another thing about these scenes that we just talked about that has always stood out to me and I was kind of disappointed by was the fact that Hermione is hiding, at least initially, who she's going to Slughorn's party with. It's almost as if she's embarrassed and she doesn't want people to know.
Yeah, it is quite different the way when we get specifically to her revealing it at the end of this section. We'll really dive into it then.
Yeah.
But it definitely changes the perspective. And I think it was okay, but we'll talk about it.
Yeah, it was okay. But that is the biggest standout part between those scenes to me. It's like, wow, definitely a different approach between the book and the movie.
And at least they were in, I think because Ron and Harry were walking through the halls, it would have been so awesome if they had just had a group of girls under mistletoe giggling.
Yes.
They didn't even need to make a thing out of it. It could have just been there.
Yep.
They could have maybe acknowledged it. Ron could have laughed about it. Like, it could have been there. But they streamlined it in that sense. But the way that they went from Ron being like, I'm a free agent, to Hermione being like, he can kiss whomever he wants, was just spot on to the book. It was a definite ding, since we liked saying that last time. But even if it wasn't exactly how each did it, it corresponded very well. And I do appreciate that kind of thing. Lemonade, not lemon water.
That is right. It did flow very well.
But the biggest difference for this part is that the book then goes on and gives us more in the library because they're sitting there working in the library. And some of it does show up in the movie just in a slightly different way, but they're having a conversation about what Harry thinks is his Half-Blood Prince book because he's sitting there reading it. Mm-hmm. And Hermione tells him that he should be careful. And he's just like, for the last time, I'm not giving this book back. It's taught me more than Snape and Slughorn combined. And Hermione's just like, I'm not talking about your stupid fucking prince. Like, but she's just like, stop. I hate this book. I don't want to talk about this book. You're not giving it back. I get it. What I'm trying to say is there is this large group of girls that are ready to dose you. They're going to roofie you, Harry. They're going to roofie you so that you'll take them to Slughorn's Christmas party. And like I said, this does get included in the movie, but in the book, initially Harry's a little horrified by this. And he's just like, well, did you confiscate the love potions?
Right.
And Hermione was like, no, they didn't have them with them. They're not walking around with them. They were just discussing tactics. Whereas in the movie, Harry almost looks pleased by this information.
Yes, intrigued.
But it also wasn't 12 different potential love potions. Hermione just mentioned the one girl.
Yes, I do prefer the book Harry to the movie Harry in this sense.
It did lead to a very funny scene, though. And to be fair, movie Romilda Vane is beautiful.
She is.
Like, the way the book set her up, Harry hasn't had a lot of encounters with her in the movie at this point. But the way the book set her up, she's younger than Harry, not that attractive, and really presumptuous and kind of rude. Like, she shows up in his compartment when they're on the train to go back to school and insults Harry's friends. Harry's friends who had his back at the ministry. And she's just like, stage whispers, you don't have to sit with them. Like, this girl is not appealing to Harry at all. But the movie doesn't give us any of that. So it's really like gave him that opportunity to see this pretty girl staring at him and just be like, really?
Yes, you got more traditional teenage boy in the movie than you did in the book.
It definitely fit into the rom-com theme that they were trying to go for, even though this is the Harry part, not the Ron part. But rom-com, it's definitely teen rom-com, as Karlee loves to say. And like I said, Hermione absolutely hates that potions book. So even though she doesn't really want to talk about it, she still gets in a dig about how she doesn't even think Harry's so-called prince would be able to help him with a dozen different love potions.
Right.
And she says that he should just ask someone so they stop thinking they have a chance. And in the book, Harry's just like, but there's nobody I want to ask. And it's another big difference that isn't directly spelled out. But in the book, Harry is still internalizing all of his, do I like Ginny or not, trying to tell himself that he doesn't like Ginny. Whereas at this point in the movie, he and Hermione have already discussed the fact that Harry likes Ginny.
Yes, during the fun canary scene.
Yeah, so that made for another slight difference in the fact that you have Harry in the book just being like, I don't want to ask anybody, as his brain is going, ask Ginny, ask Ginny, ask Ginny.
And the movie does kind of include this. So initially in the movie and the library, Harry is talking to Hermione about how he thought they could just go together because they're good friends and they could go as friends.
I actually kind of wish the book did it like this.
I do too.
I don't even know how that wasn't a consideration.
Yeah, I don't either.
It was perfect for the movie. When she's just like, I had to make other arrangements. And Harry's just like, did you now?
Yes.
Yeah, why? Because I thought we could go together? And Hermione, normally so clever, is just like, why didn't I think of that? And it's just really funny.
And it's because she's focused on making Ron jealous.
Which
She accomplishes.
she definitely accomplishes
Yep.
to a T.
Yes. You don't go with your best friend if you're trying to make your love interest, whether you're aware that is what he is or not, jealous.
I think at this point, Hermione is aware.
Yes, I do.
In the movie, she definitely is.
Yes.
Not that book Hermione wasn't all crying about him kissing Lavender too, but the movie definitely dramatized that. Like, she was flat out just being like, this sucks.
Yeah.
Like, how does it feel to you that you can't be with the person you want to be with? And it, like, flat out being like, this is the person I want to be with and I can't. So it definitely, I think in general, this movie spelled out a lot of things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But this is also then in the movie when Hermione warns Harry about Romilda Vane, but like I said, it was that one girl that Harry was then like, oh, intrigued by. And honestly, this did not happen in the book. And I both am glad it didn't, but also loved this scene in the movie.
I particularly love when Hermione just slaps him on the head with a rolled up parchment. Like,
Yeah.
what are you thinking? You are the chosen one. Stop it.
She's only interested in you because she thinks you're the chosen one. But I am the chosen one.
This is the face and everything, but I am the chosen one.
Whack. No, it was perfect. It, like I said, very rom-com-y, but it went with the tone of everything else they did in the movie, and it was funny and cute enough. And Harry, I love Daniel Radcliffe, and he's just like, oh, right, sorry, I'm only kidding.
But were you?
And like book Harry wouldn't have had that kind of bravado.
Mm-mm.
I just did love the way Dan carried it off, though, so I was okay with that change.
Yeah. It was a fun interaction to watch.
But it did not really illustrate, which is interesting too, because we already have a bit of an inkling of how dangerous love potions can be from Harry's meetings with Dumbledore. And then we get a better glimpse of it when Ron actually has a fun experience that we'll get into in later chapters. But Harry's reaction to it in the movie kind of downplays how dangerous love potions can really be. Whereas in the book, they're like, you have to be careful what you drink because Romilda Vane's legit gonna drug you.
Yeah, and with love potions, the biggest danger is like it's not about love. It becomes about obsession.
Right.
You get your own built-in stalker.
Yeah. And at least they're temporary, but yikes.
That's still a temporary
Like-
period of time that you're on edge because somebody is hiding in bushes.
Shit can go bad in that short period of time.
Yeah. It does not take long to kill somebody you feel like is not returning your affection.
Yeah. Another thing that was definitely changed from the book to the movie is the fact that Harry goes right into accepting that if he invites someone, these girls are going to leave him alone, when book Harry is just like, I don't really want to invite anybody.
Right.
And he says that he's going to invite someone he likes, someone cool. And that's where that part ends. We still go on a little bit more. But the book goes like off the wheels from that. Like it then has Harry turn back to his other obsession. He's got the Half-Blood Prince that he can't stop reading. And his obsession that Nazi von Douchebag II is up to something. Because he starts to go, wait a second. How are these girls getting love potions in the building? Didn't Filch ban the Weasley's Wizard Weezes products? And Hermione's just like, well, they've got them disguised as cough potions and perfumes and stuff like that. It's part of their owl order service. And Harry's just like, you sure seem to know a lot about this.
Yeah. She's like offended. How dare you even suggest that I would pander in potions?
Right? She even flat out says that she doesn't go around putting potions in people's drinks or pretending to, which is just as bad.
Yes, I loved that nice little jab at Harry.
And Harry is just over there like, whatever. That's not my point. My point is, if these girls can get love potions snuck into the castle, why can't Malfoy get dark objects snuck into the castle? And Hermione's just like, God damn it, Harry, why are we still on this? And this is a huge sentiment change from the book to the movie, because the movie is just, as we've talked about before, it's just spelling out the fact that Malfoy is up to something. And in the book, Harry's just like, Malfoy is up to something, and everybody else is going, no, he's not. Like, he's just Malfoy.
Yes, no, the movie is very, he suspects something. And he's also not giving it the same level of attention in the movie because he's far more focused on typical teenage boy things.
And getting Slughorn to like him.
And getting Slughorn to like him because he needs to learn something very valuable from Slughorn. Yes. And I love how in the book, Hermione is like, I can't believe I have to spell this out for you. Filch doesn't know potions because he's not a wizard.
He's not a wizard. She actually calls him not a very good wizard. Like, he's not a wizard at all. He's a squib.
Yes, he is a squib. And she has to spell it out. It's not the same as being handed a dark object. That's easier to identify.
Yeah, because he's using that secrecy sensor, and if he runs a secrecy sensor over something that's been concealed or like is a dark object hidden in something, that will set that off. But if you run a secrecy sensor over a potion that's merely in a different bottle, it's up to him to determine what that potion is, and he just wouldn't know that.
No, not without using it, and he's not going to do that either.
And Harry's like, in one ear out the other, because he just really wants Malfoy to be up to something, which, I mean, it's hilarious because he is. But nobody else is willing to accept that at this point. They're all like, oh my God, why are you talking about this again? Move on, Harry.
We know you don't like him. We know. Stop talking about it.
This is another thing that I kind of wish we had gotten, like this conversation in particular. And I do get why they didn't include it. The fact that they show us Malfoy is clearly up to something in the movie. There's a scene that we're about to talk about in this episode that clearly shows he's up to something. There's been a few more just like that previously. But the fact that they're flat out showing us would make it really stupid to have Harry speculating that he's up to something and everybody else being like, no, it just gets redundant.
Yes.
So I get why they didn't, but I love that so much. I just, like, I would turn so hard into the I fucking told you so when they figure it out at the end. And it's just so funny.
Yeah, I mean, we've all had those people in our life who can't let something go. And we're like, please stop. We've also been the person who can't let something go. And I'm with you. Something this massive, once I was proven right, I would have been like, boom.
I knew it all along. As I love to tell Len, one of these days you're just going to believe me.
That's right. No matter how batshit crazy I sound, you will believe me.
It especially happens if I'm trying to recommend a show for him. I'm like, no, we have to watch this. He's like, oh, I really want to watch this. And then we get like a half an episode in and he's just like entranced. And then we finish that episode. I'm like, do you want to watch another one? He's like, fine. And then we power through the whole first season or whatever. I'm like, I told you.
Yes. I love how committed he was, by the way, last night to that terrible Nicolas Cage movie.
Oh my God. I still stand by the fact, if you guys have never seen Drive Angry, it is horrible.
But it's intentionally horrible.
But it's Nick Cage. It's hilariously horrible. It's so bad. It's good. And there's so many things to just make fun of during it. But I desperately need to see this movie, still starring Nick Cage, but everybody else is played by a Muppet. So if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen the movie, watch it and imagine it with Muppets, because just chef's kiss. It would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, back to Harry Potter. Another little delightful moment in the book is, so they're having this argument about whether or not Filch can identify potions and how Malfoy's sneaking or not sneaking things in. And they get interrupted by Madame Pince because they're in the library. And apparently the library is now closed, but she's still trying to insist they need to put everything back in the correct place. And then she gets distracted because she sees Harry's potions book covered in handwriting, and as the librarian just loses her shit, she starts screaming at him, "What have you done to that book, you depraved boy?"
Blasphemy! Blasphemy!
And Harry's just like, it's just a book that's been written on. And Hermione's just like, oh God. And she's like packing all of her stuff up because Harry doesn't have anything but his book. So Hermione has to shove everything back in her bag. She grabs it. She grabs Harry by the arm and she just drags him out of there. Like, why did you have to bring that stupid book? She's so worried Harry's going to get banned from the library that she's not going to be able to spend as much time there as she wants.
Yeah. Her favorite place on campus.
She's like, I have to be in the library by myself. Which I'm sure she'd be fine with too, but I think she likes having that company.
She does.
She's like me, where she has to talk things out loud to process them. So she wants somebody right there to talk to, even though she doesn't really care if they're actually listening or not. She just needs to say it.
100%. And Harry and, Ron, when they're talking, are perfect for that role.
Yeah, definitely. I love Harry too. He's like, it's not my fault she's barking mad. And then he makes this joke, which just, it's fun teenage banter. And I feel like, yes, we got teenage rom-com-y kind of stuff, and it was really cheesy. Some of it was really awkward and stupid. But stuff like this, when he's just like, maybe she heard you being rude about Filch. I've always thought there might be something between them. And then the two just bicker about whether or not Filch and Madame Pince are in love secretly the whole walk back to the common room. And I would have loved to see more things like that. They cut out all of the fun stuff just to keep pushing the plot forward. That's one thing we say a lot, is move the plot forward, move the plot forward. That is one thing this movie does. It is just all about telling the story, and they just get the meat of it, and they miss all of the sides.
Yes, those minor details that make them even more human to us.
And more magical, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't even necessarily have to be direct magic. The things that make these stories so good are the character development.
Yes, we can see ourselves in that role.
And so many of these characters were just pared down to next to nothing in the movies. And there's still so many magical things about the movies, but the books are better. I'll say it.
Yeah, I agree. Ron was a lot smarter in the books, at least when it came to wizarding stuff.
Oh, yeah.
They make him a complete...
He's the comedic relief.
He is. He's the comedic relief. So they've made him lazy and sort of a loaf in a lot of senses.
And it wasn't that bad in the books. He had his moments.
Yeah.
We all have our moments in the books.
We all have our moments.
And then that's all he was in Cursed Child. They took absolutely everything that Ron was worth away in that, and he was just the jester.
Yeah. Hermione's arm piece.
Yeah. Can't even say arm candy.
Just arm piece. I'm a ginger. I can say these things.
She is a ginger. Karlee's son is a ginger.
I know.
So we love gingers here.
Yes, we do.
But they make it back to their common room, Fat Lady, and Harry gives her the new festive password, Bobbles.
Which was our trivia question.
That it was. And then this right here is Hermione's moment to say I told you so, because the moment the portrait hole opens, Harry doesn't even have a chance to step in yet. Romilda Vane has just got to be sitting in a chair that faces the portrait hole, staring at it, waiting for Harry to show up. Because the moment the door opens, she's like, "Hi, Harry, fancy a gilly water?"
Yeah. He looks like he's going to fall over backwards.
And Harry's just like, no, thanks. I don't like it much. And Hermione's just like, told you so.
Yes, she
All
definitely.
in a look. She doesn't say it. She just gives him the look.
Yeah, the look definitely says,
And, you know, because they planned out these warlike tactics in the bathroom, she's got her backup plan if he won't drink the gilly water, and just basically shoves a box of chocolate cauldrons into his arms. Like, here, take these anyway. My grand sent them to me, and I don't like them because there's fire whiskey in them. And Harry doesn't really know what to say, so he's just like, okay, and takes them. He's like, I'm gonna go now, and just like runs after Hermione. And when they're out of basic earshot, I mean, it's the common room, it's not that big, but Hermione very quietly just goes, "Do you see what I mean?" And then she sees Ron and Lavender sharing an armchair, all wrapped up in one another.
ah, yes, the snogging.
And immediately just goes, "Good night." It's like 7 p.m. She's like, "I'm going to bed now."
Yep.
And just kind of leaves Harry there by himself. He probably doesn't stay up that much longer, because it then cuts right into talking about when he goes to bed. He's just like, oh my God, thank God there's only one more day of lessons. Got Slughorn's party, and then Ron and I get to go to the Burrow. We're cool. It's gonna be fine. And he's really hoping that the time apart over the break will give both Ron and Hermione time to like cool down and think about how they've been acting, and then maybe come back together. He's like really hopeful. And then this is just like somebody popped Harry's hopeful balloon during Transfiguration the next day, because they are learning how to transfigure their eyebrows. God, this spell would be so useful for when we wanted to color our hair.
I really need it for my eyebrows. They're going blonde.
They're very blonde.
Thanks.
Very blonde. You could do the microblading.
I know, but back to Harry Potter.
Yes. So Harry has managed to turn one of his eyebrows yellow. So he's halfway getting there. But in, true to form, the way that they love these in the books, making Ron the idiot. So Hermione, of course, has mastered it. Harry's like halfway there. And Ron somehow manages to give himself a spectacular handlebar mustache. And this is another one of those book sections where I'm just like, who read this book and thought, I don't need to put this in the movie?
Right. I want to see Ron with that handlebar mustache, because we all know if you're a ginger and you have a handlebar mustache, you look ridiculous.
And he looks ridiculous. Everybody laughs at him, including Hermione, and she kind of does it a little bit unkindly because she's mad at him. So he retaliates by doing a cruel but accurate, as they describe it, impression of her jumping up and down to answer a question.
Yes.
And then more people laugh because accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, Hermione is on the edge here, and this basically reduces her to tears. She holds it back until the bell rings, and then just rushes out immediately and leaves half of her stuff behind. And then this is one of those moments, too, where I think the movie is showing this pretty well, because Harry is very supportive of her in the movie, goes to check on her when she sees Ron and Lavender kissing, and puts his arm around her and talks to her about how it feels and stuff like that, which we got something similar in the book. But Harry is a lot more awkward in the book, and he doesn't really know what to say or do, so he's just kind of there. But being that it's from his perspective, we do specifically get his thoughts that he decides that Hermione needs him more than Ron does.
Mm-hmm. And it's totally true.
Yeah. And he gathers her belongings for her and follows after her. And ends up finding her with Luna. They're coming out of the girls' bathroom, and Luna's just sort of patting Hermione on the back. And she sees Harry and goes, "Oh, hi, Harry. Did you know that one of your eyebrows is yellow?"
Yeah.
And Harry does say hi back, but chooses to ignore the second part. He's just like, that's really not here nor there. Just, Hermione, you left all of your things, and gives them to her. And she's just like, oh, thanks. And like rushes off again. And so he's left there with Luna, who is like, she's upset about Ron Weasley.
As if Harry wasn't already aware.
And Harry's just like, yeah, they had a fight. And then Luna, in the best of Luna fashion, which we did get a great Luna fashion comment in just a bit here in the movie, but it wasn't this, like, she just has that ability to, like, sniper shoot the most accurate statement that's almost awkward to hear. Because she's just like, yeah, he can say some really funny things, but he can also be a bit unkind. I noticed that last year. And Harry's just like, yeah.
Yes,
Because
Luna.
he also can't disagree, but he's a little vague about it. He's like, we're not going to go into detail here, but yeah.
Yeah, Luna's superpower is being candid.
Yes, she is definitely very candid. And then he asks her how her term has been going. And she says that it's been all right. And Luna, oh my heart, like, I wish that we had gotten more moments like this with Luna. Because we had them when she was first introduced. There was a few more things with her where you really saw that friendship blossoming between the two of them. And the movie doesn't give us quite as much. They're like, everybody loves Odd Luna, we'll give you more Odd Luna. And everybody does love Odd Luna. So I'm happy to take the Odd Luna. But I want this moment too, when she says that it's been good, but a bit lonely without the DA. And then she says that Ginny's been being really nice. She stopped somebody from calling her loony the other day. And without even thinking about what's coming out of his mouth, Harry just goes, do you want to go to Slughorn's party with me tonight? And like, as he's saying it, he's thinking, oh God, Harry, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And Luna's like, go to Slughorn's party with you? And Harry's like, you know, just as friends.
Let me clarify quickly.
Just as friends. She's like, oh God, please say no. Please say no. But she's just like, I would love to go to Slughorn's party with you as a friend. I've never been asked to a party as a friend before.
And it's so sad.
It just breaks my heart. And it just makes me love Harry for inviting her.
Yes.
Like, it's just so kind. And you like that's just... That's like Harry's Hufflepuff showing. Like, he's just so loyal to his friends.
He is compassionate. There's a lot of empathy there.
Yeah. And I love the fact that he didn't really want to invite anyone in the book. But he reached out to somebody that was also in need. And it helped them both. Like, this was an intelligent solution. Even if it kind of blew up in his face in this moment. Because who's hanging around? Peeves.
Yes. I really am so bummed about the lack of Peeves in the movies.
He better be in the TV show is all I can say.
Please.
I've said that so many times. But Peeves is there listening. Oh my God. I almost forgot that she's like, is that why you dyed your eyebrow? Should I do mine too? Harry's just like, no, I'm going to get Hermione to fix this. Don't you dare show up to this party looking weird, Luna.
Yeah. It's like, these are unrelated. These are unrelated.
That was a mistake. But he's like, I'll have Hermione fix it. Just meet me in the entrance hall at 8 p.m. And then this is when Peeves interrupts.
Mm-hmm.
Just amused to the end of the earth that Harry asked Luna to go to this party and starts shrieking about how Potty loves Loony, Potty loves Loony. And then just... the next thing you know, the entire school knows. And Harry's just like, it's nice to keep these things private.
Yes. Not with Peeves around.
No. And we definitely got bilked out of that in the movie. That was just...
They really did us an injustice there.
They better fix it. That's all I can say. They better fix it.
Yeah. I mean, with the movie, it's a straight shot to them being in the hallway together after he says, I'm going to ask somebody I like, somebody cool. And it's super cute. It is, to see that that's who he's standing next to in the hallway.
Yeah.
After hearing that.
It's a good transition. It makes it very clear what happened. I just miss
the dialogue.
that moment. I just miss Harry being the good friend.
Yes.
It's implied, but you don't get to see that sweetness.
No.
And I love that.
Mm-hmm.
And now, of course, because the whole school knows, everybody's just like, what the fuck? Especially Ron. He's like, you literally could have asked anybody except for your sister. But, you know, you literally could have asked anybody and you chose Looney Lovegood. And Ginny's like, don't call her that.
Right. So showing her colors, again, as Luna said, she tells people not to call me that. And that is the big difference between Ron and Harry. Harry's not insecure. He doesn't need that validation, and he feels awkward being around people he doesn't have a genuine relationship with, even if it's friendship.
Yeah, but Ron is the youngest boy out of 7 kids, and as we know that he was the last boy to the mother that really wanted a daughter.
Yes, she was very disappointed.
So that's a lot of things right there. Like, Ron could use some therapy. As
really
could many people in the wizarding world, Snape. But but I love the fact that Ginny stands up for her in this moment and then tells Harry that she's really glad he's taking her because she's so excited. And I feel like that's one of those things that shows their match really well. Like, they're similar caring about people.
They're both very compassionate individuals.
Yeah. And I also love the fact that there's got to be a part of her that is so glad he's taking Luna and not a girl he's actually interested in, even though she's still dating Dean at this point.
Right.
She's got to be like, she's so excited, and I know you're not interested in dating her, so I still have a shot when Dean and I inevitably don't work out.
Yes.
Because I'm only dating him until you notice me.
Yes. It's definitely, she did a good job of not saying the quiet part out loud.
Yes. And I also love the fact that Harry's just like, oh, I'm so glad you're pleased. Uh-huh. But he doesn't know that inner monologue part. He thinks that, oh, Ginny really wants me to be dating Luna.
Right.
Yay.
We've all had those moments. We all had those moments as young people where it's like, if I really would rather be with you, but I can't tell you that.
Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah.
Drama. And then this is the part that is the most changed, like we mentioned earlier, because they're at dinner. They're sitting at the dinner table, and it's Ginny was talking to them, but then she goes to sit with Dean and just leaves Harry and Ron there, and Hermione's a little further down the table, not sitting directly with them because of drama. But she's sitting by herself a little further down, and Harry notices Ron just like casting furtive glances at her, and he's just very blunt. You know, you could just apologize.
It would fix everything.
And Ron's just like, and get attacked by more canaries? No.
It's fair. It is a fair comment.
And he's like, well, why did you have to make fun of her anyway? And Ron says, she laughed at my mustache. And Harry's just like, so did I. It was the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Like, you looked like an absolute idiot. Ginger with a handlebar mustache.
Right. Everybody in the class laughed at you. You just zoned in on her.
Because you're being a petty little douchebag.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're interrupted because Lav and Parvati show up, and Lavender immediately just squishes between Harry and Ron so she can throw her arms around Ron's neck. And Harry and Parvati look at each other like, oh, our friends are so embarrassing. And they just kind of have their own awkward conversation because, like, Harry did invite her to go to the Yule Ball and then, like, ignored her the whole time. So I'm sure it's, like, weird between them still. But they're just like, hey, kind of awkward, huh? And Harry's just like, I see you're still here at Hogwarts. And she's just like, yeah, I've convinced my parents for the time being. You know, the whole Katie Bell thing made them really nervous, but I'm still here. And then Parvati notices Hermione, and you can tell that she feels guilty for laughing at her, especially seeing her sit by herself and knowing that she ran off crying. And she's just like, hi, Hermione. And Harry's just like, God, girls are weird. Because Hermione just goes, oh, hi, Parvati. Are you going to Slughorn's party?
Right. No, I wasn't invited.
But you're going, right? And Hermione says, oh, yes, Cormac is meeting me in the entrance hall at 8.
Yeah.
And just full on throws that out there within Ron's earshot.
Yes. And a blatant attempt to make him jealous.
blatant attempt. Whereas in the movie, she was more, oh, it's a secret.
Yeah, and she only talked to Harry about it. She didn't talk to anybody else about it.
And she didn't say, like, how would Ron have even found out if she didn't bring it up? Because he's not going to be at the party.
Right.
He was invited and then fucked up his invitation. But no, she just drops this bomb on the table. I'm meeting Cormac at 8. And Parvati's just like, Cormac McLaggen, you mean? And Hermione's like, yes, the one who almost became the Gryffindor keeper. And she like really emphasizes that Cormac almost beat Ron, which it doesn't get mentioned at this point. It will later, but you know that Harry's immediately like, oh God, is she going to tell him?
Yes. I didn't really slip it into his
Like,
drink.
Oh God, oh God, oh God. No, the fact that she confunded Cormac at tryouts, so he missed the last goal.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So I'm sure Harry, because he does bring it up to her later, so I'm sure he's already freaking out in this moment. But Hermione is just really digging it in for Ron right now. Like, it wasn't just that she said she was going with him. She makes mention of the fact that he almost beat Ron out for keeper. And then when Parvati's just like, oh, are you going out with him? She's just like, yes, didn't you know? And Harry is even there like, this is very un-Hermione. Like, what is even happening right now? And Parvati's just like, oh, you really like your Quidditch players. First Crumb, now McLaggen. And just to twist that knife a little bit more, she's just like, I like really good Quidditch players.
Right.
And then she says, well, I need to go get ready for the party, and just leaves.
Yeah.
And that's where I decided to cut the chapter, because that's just like, bam, mic drop.
Yep. It is. In the book, it is. It's a total mic drop. Yeah, in the book, she's up front, and you can tell because she's unwilling to tell her best friend who she's going with. Her best friend. Harry is her best friend. You know what? It's a secret. It's like, you're that embarrassed?
Oh, she totally is embarrassed in the movie. However, that's, for next episode. In the book, she definitely, well, both, she really lives to regret it, but in the book, she had another potential option too that we'll get to talk about. And Hermione.
She is a magnet for sleazeballs.
He is a sleazeball too.
Yeah.
Oh.
Crumb.
But-
I'm not talking about Crumb. Crumb was adorable.
No, Cormac is, I was saying this in a previous episode, but I gotta share it with you, is I saw a meme about the actor who played Victor Crumb, how he went from a snack to a full meal. I was like, yes.
Yes, I've seen the recent pictures. It's true.
I met him.
I know you did.
He's so cute in person too. I also have one of the cameos.
Yep.
But he was absolutely wasted on wine, and it was amazing. I definitely teased him for that when I got to meet him. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun. But that's basically where it ends. It's also where the corresponding movie scene cuts off. However, we had to include another little scene just because it goes along with the fact that they love to show us exactly what Malfoy's up to in the movie, even though we have no idea in the book yet. Like, let's just drop that mystery, like shine the light right on that. But it didn't really fit in anywhere else. And had I included it in the next section, it would have made that one even longer. So it goes here. And as Harry and Luna are walking down the hall, they pass Malfoy, who's like kind of sitting off. And I don't know if it's like another corridor or just like an alcove off of that one. If you explore Hogwarts Castle in Hogwarts Legacy, there are a bunch of those little alcoves off where there's like windows and you can walk in there, but there's nothing really to do.
Right. And I totally, just watching the movie, get the impression he's hiding and waiting for everybody who needs to walk by to walk by.
And I think that's what's going on, because then it basically cuts to show that that has happened. And now he's walking down the corridor by himself, stops in front of what I can assume is the door or the wall where the door appears to the room of requirement, because he just like stops and closes his eyes and focuses on it. And then it cuts to him being in the room where he takes the cover off of the vanishing cabinet, which the movie hasn't told us is the vanishing cabinet. But this scene basically gives us that information, even if it's not in words, because he takes the apple, he puts it inside the cabinet, closes it, says his little incantation, which I don't think you needed an incantation in the book. It never said anything about it, but they gave it one for the movie. So he closes his eyes and he whispers that Harmonia Nectaria Passus.
I don't understand. You're right. In the book, things just travel back and forth because those two cabinets are connected.
Yeah.
And in the movie, it's almost their way of making it more, making Malfoy, I think, a bigger part of that whole thing.
Which they should have done even more. But
yeah,
we did get more of him in this movie. And I appreciate that because he really did great in this film.
Yes, I love myself some Tom Felton.
Ugh, he's so sweet.
He is, and I'm team Emma and Tom. I want to see them together.
I know. Ugh,
right.
get on with it already. But he puts the apple in, closes it, says the incantation, opens the door back up. Apple is gone.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a very subtle look of happiness on his face about this. Like, this is what he was hoping was going to happen. This is what he's been working towards. And then he closes the door, says the incantation 2 times this time. He's really desperate.
Mm-hmm.
Opens the door back up, and there, in fact, is the apple. He reaches in, he pulls it out, but someone has taken a bite out of it.
And he gets this sly little smile.
And mission accomplished. This is good news for Nazi von Douchebag II, though if you haven't read the books, you don't really know why it's good news at this point. It's a little vague. All it really does, in my perspective, is ruin the mystery of, is Draco up to something or not?
Yes, it does. It shows you he's up to something. And if you're an intelligent person, you start really making those connections fast.
And it's really, like, frustrating because that was kind of the big mystery of the book, aside from who the Half-Blood Prince is. That being the big mystery, being the title and all. But we know that Voldemort has given Malfoy a mission in the book. We know that. We know that he's supposed to kill someone. We don't necessarily know who. In the book, they have speculated that it could be Dumbledore, it could be Harry, it could be Slughorn.
Yeah, and you spend your time thinking it's the one person that you're devoted to thinking it is.
And the movie flat out told us that somebody is trying to kill Dumbledore. Katie Bell was supposed to give that necklace to Dumbledore. And we know Malfoy's up to something. Like, it just spells it out too much.
Yeah, it's at Voldemort's discretion. So yes, we know who he's the most afraid of and who needs to be gone for him to act.
Yeah. And I guess that's fine. Like I said, I don't mind having more Tom Felton on screen. But I liked the mystery aspect of that in the book that, yeah, you can guess, but you don't know for sure.
You don't. It would have been way better just seeing him disappear into the room of requirement and not see why.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. But that's not what they did because they don't love us and want us to be happy. Anyway, actor-wise, we don't have much to talk about. It's primarily was Harry, Ron, Hermione, Luna. We've talked about all of them before because this is not the first time they've shown up in the movie. You get that little bit with Draco. We have talked about him. We have also mentioned the fact that he has a much bigger scene coming up that we really want to get more into when we get to that scene. And sure, we got to see Romilda Vane, but all she did was smile at Harry, and I don't think I could look at Daniel Radcliffe without smiling at him, so I don't even think that was acting. It was just... No, she's beautiful. Her name is Anna Schaefer. Beautiful girl. Not exactly what I pictured for Romilda Vane, but...
No, the book describes a mousy, sort of unnoticeable girl.
But she definitely gives a good simpering smile, which I don't think would be hard to do when looking at Daniel Radcliffe, so... Not much to really say about her otherwise then.
Right.
I think that had they given us the scene where she offers him the gillyweed and forces the box of chocolates into his hand, that there would be more to talk about then, but there's really not. So we can just move on to our Potter pondering.
Who would you invite to Slughorn's Christmas party?
I'm with Harry. I would invite someone I like, someone cool.
Honestly, because I'm such a twit for like the loner angry kid and I just want to make them happy, I probably would have invited Draco.
I think I would have invited Neville.
But he was serving.
And he does not deserve to be a waiter.
I don't disagree with you. Neville's character is one of my favorites, but I need a project.
Yeah.
Obviously. I mean, I didn't marry a project. My husband is very self-sufficient and helps take care of me, but when I was a teenage girl, it would have been Draco.
Yeah, no, agreed. So you can pick somebody. Doesn't have to be somebody that's necessarily at the school at this time, but let us know. Who would you invite to Slughorn's Christmas party? Find the post on our Facebook page and share your thoughts. Or call us at 216-526-6792 and leave your response as a voicemail. Make sure you start off telling us your name and then go into your answer. Don't forget, you can also stitch your response on TikTok.
We really look forward to reading, hearing, and seeing them.
This week we have a wizarding word, but we will always accept new Sorting Hat stories should you wish to share yours. You can email it to us at foxsakepod@gmail.com. But for our wizarding word, we wanted to tell you all about the Harry Potter exhibition that's going to be going up in the Boston area this September. It opens September 13th. My brother actually lives in Boston right now, so I'm like, I might need to go visit my brother and see this.
I may need to come with you to see John for this.
Right? I have an amazing picture of Abigail and my brother standing next to each other in my kitchen when we were living in Cincinnati. And mind you, Abigail is 5 foot.
Nope.
Not even?
Nope. 4'9" 3/4".
4'9". Oh, God, you're not even close to 5 foot.
I'm not.
She makes me feel tall, which is great. But my brother is like 6'2". And I was sitting on the couch. They were both in the kitchen, and it was like open with an island type situation. And I look up, and my brother is just towering over her and making her look like a child. And it was so funny. I had to snap a picture right then and there. So
What makes it funnier is the fact that we're prepping food together. So I have a very large knife in my hand, and
it
it
is a
looks
great
like I
picture.
have, it looks like I have grabbed the knife to protect myself from John the Giant.
John the Giant, who actually would not hurt a fly.
Right.
But no, we'll have to like reenact that picture if we end up going to Boston to visit him.
I agree.
But it sounds like the exhibition will include the wonders of the extended Harry Potter universe. So there's going to be original costumes and props from Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, some of the first editions of books, and an immersive Hogwarts castle gallery. They're going to have classrooms and offer magical lessons and games, and a Hogwarts house gallery. It just sounds really cool. Tickets went on sale May 16th, so they're up. And it looks like it's going to be $25 for adults and $19 for children. There's going to be a gift shop and treats like chocolate frogs and butterbeers. Apparently, it's currently in New York City and has been in Philadelphia and some other cities around the world. So now it's just something that moves and is heading to Boston. I will actually share this article on Facebook so you guys can go check it out yourself.
Great. And now for our trivia question. What is the name of the man who wrote Blood Brothers, My Life Amongst the Vampires? The first one who responds with a correct answer and the code word #Sanguini will get a sticker.
Another way to get a sticker is to rate and review us through iTunes. If you don't have an Apple account, then you can write us a recommendation on our Facebook page. Make sure to email us at foxsakepod@gmail.com and let us know you did, and we'll get back to you to figure out which sticker you want and where to send it.
Don't forget to find us and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at FoxSakePod. Following us on Podbean at FoxSakePod will get you the episode as early as possible and give you a leg up in answering the trivia question. You can also go to our website at forfoxsakepodcast.com to check out our For Fox's Sake and Harry Potter related merchandise for sale.
Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, where we post our weekly podcast episodes, cooking show episodes, vlogs, bloopers, and other random videos.
If you would like to become a patron, you can find us on Patreon at Fox's Sake Pod. Patronage starts at $2 and will get you some awesome perks like For Fox's Sake swag, access to our Discord channel, chats, and more. Check out our page for the details. Any support you can give is greatly appreciated. And join us next week when we talk about the second half of Chapter 15, The Unbreakable Vow, and the fairly corresponding film scenes.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for listening. Hope you hear us again. I'm Karlee.
I'm Ellen, and we are
For Fawkes' sake.